It's a glitch. It's a glitch in the matrix. That's what just happened right there. Deja vu. It's a glitch in the matrix. Quite literally. It's 7:30 p.m. Eastern on a Thursday night, so you know you're here with your boy on Right America Media. Here's my 2 cents on YouTube. Everybody over here on the TikTok is getting a sneak peek. You guys don't get this all the time, but I love you, and it's been a long time. Stick around. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I have you all to talk about here. If you come over from TikTok over to YouTube, here's my 2 cents on YouTube. Write me a message. Juan behind the scenes is going to go ahead and put that up on the bottom of the screen for us. We have a lot to talk about. Feeling the energy. Got my friends over here on TikTok, which we haven't done in a long time. But not sure if I mentioned this. This is my show. Here's my 2 cents with me, your boy Keith 2 Cents Sanders. We're kind of talking fast, kind of getting a lot going. We have a lot to talk about. Good night, everyone. Quite literally, what happened at the actual debate. I'm all flustered now, and I'm standing, and I stand, and I have, and I am. This is what, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know where you've been the last couple of days. This is quite literally the candidate that they have put forward for the Democrats in Pennsylvania. We're going to get into all of it, how it has to do with, it's just a rubber stamp. What are we even really doing with elections anymore if this is what we're going to be dealing with? We're going to talk about the fact that we're all ableists now and any other ist that you could possibly think of. Another reminder for you guys over here, you're getting a sneak peek. If you go over to Here's My 2 Cents on YouTube, you'll be able to interact with me. Juan is behind the scenes. He's already getting it all sorted out for me. He says you guys are pouring in. Get your questions, comments, concerns across the bottom. I love interacting with you all. Come on over. I can't see what you guys are doing over here, but if you come over to Here's My 2 Cents on YouTube, we'll be able to talk. I got to kind of keep you on the side because all my real friends are over here on the YouTube. Okay, a couple of big topics to talk about. We have a new, this time it's not a definition switch, but they're doing what's called conflation, and it's between cost and inflation. And I'm going to talk to you about the difference of that because that is now what the Democrats are absolutely preying on in order to trick folks. And I actually have an anecdote of someone I work with who's actually a conservative, and he's been chewing my ear off about how the corporations are being greedy, and that's what's driving up the costs. And I'm like, unbelievable. It's taken less than a week for this to actually penetrate into people's brains. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what that all means. And I have something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I'm going to keep that to myself. I want you guys to stick around for a little bit so you can hear what that one's going to be about. And we got to talk about Fetterman and just the election in general. Let's start with election. Why? Because we are so close. We are so close. We've been waiting 2 years since it was not stolen, YouTube. It was not stolen. That election was absolutely perfect. TikTok, there was nothing wrong with it. I have not said anything, right, Juan? It was full integrity, the best election we've ever had. Everyone knows it. You know it. So because of that, we've been waiting 2 years. The polling, I don't know if anybody keeps up with this stuff. I don't like polling. I know that it's normally used in order to affect perception rather than to reflect perception. We're doing a lot of words here tonight and a lot of interchanging. Stick around. Keep up with me. You guys can shoot over to Here's My 2 Cents on YouTube. Write me messages over there. There's often a use of polling in order to make people feel a certain way, which is the exact opposite of what polling is supposed to do, which is to show you how people are feeling. Case in point, let's go back to 2016 when all the polling said that 95% of everyone that has ever existed was going to vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton. And that was used to tell us, MAGA, the Trump supporters, stay home. There's no reason for you to go out and vote. What happened? The lazy Democrat supporters said, well, my lady's already won. No reason for me to go out. Coupled with the Trump supporters saying, I'm tired of you telling me that we have no chance to win. That came together and we all came out to vote. Then 2020 happened, the best election of all time, the most secure election of all time, 81 million votes for a man who campaigned from his basement. And he's obviously way more popular than Obama. Everybody knows this. He got way more votes than anybody who's ever existed because it was the most secure election we've ever had. Can't take me down. Cannot take me down. I have said this is the most secure election that's ever. If you're joining me over here, find me on Here's My Two Cents on YouTube. Write me some messages over there and I'll interact with you. We're talking about the election because it's so close. We've been waiting. We've been waiting. We've been waiting. Over the summer, I talked about the polls a moment ago. Over the summer, the polling showed a shift towards the Democrats. Heather, I love you. Thank you for finding me over here. Continue to give me some messages and some love. Give me some likes, comments, shares. That was from over on YouTube on Here's My Two Cents. Thank you so much. The polling, Robert, I love you, man. The polling over the summer was showing that there was a shift towards the Democrats, and they were, of course, running on the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Why? You give me one policy that they could run on. Let's run on all that spending. What's up, Celia? I remember you, Celia. Thank you for coming back. Let's run on the policies that have increased inflation, which we're going to get to here in a little bit. Let's talk about their policies at the border. Let's talk about the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Let's talk about our failed diplomacy in Ukraine. Let's talk about all the things that they have had control over. Can we run on that? No, you can't run on that. So they ran on the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And there was potentially a shift. I think it was way overblown. And that, like I said, was in order to get people to change their mind. And there was a shift. They were running on Roe v. Wade. They cannot at all run on any of their policies. I love seeing the numbers actually here go down because that means you're coming over to YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. Come on over. Give me some messages. So there was a shift. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't have much trust in that. But now what we're seeing is, I think, more realistic reflection of what's going on because it's so close to the election. Our energy has not subsided at all. I think there was a wave on the side of the left. Hey, what's up, Lisa? Love seeing you again. I think there was a little bit of a surge there, but we have never lightened up. We have just been waiting. Love you, Heather. Thank you for giving me the comments. We have been waiting for our turn. You could feel the energy. Are you feeling the energy? Are you registered? Are you going to vote? What friend are you going to bring to the ballot box? It's our turn. It's our turn to take this back, and we're not going to let it happen again. There's election integrity laws, which are in place. They are working. They've been working through the primaries. They are in place. Early voting right now in Georgia is showing that they're actually having record turnout, which is fantastic. Of course, that's what we want. As they told us, it's easier to vote, it's harder to cheat, and the media lost their ever-loving minds. Why? Because there was integrity that came with it. But I digest. I want to talk about some of these polls because I do think these are more realistic because we've gotten so close to the midterm elections that we have here. First of all, let's talk about my boy, Ron DeSantis down here in Florida. He's polling 12 points over former Republican turned independent who only caucused with the Democrats in D.C. turned Democrat. He's crushing this guy, absolutely crushing this guy. Let's talk about the Senate. I am seeing a lot of red in what we're doing. I can't believe that Walker up in Georgia has actually pulled ahead since he's had some of these scandals alleged. I don't know what was said, what happened, what didn't, but I know that there have been allegations against him. And if you're over here, you can find me on Here's My 2 cents on YouTube. Come on over. I'd love to see you guys over there. And now we have Masters. I think Masters is going to get pulled up from the momentum that Carrie Lake has. If you don't know who Carrie Lake is, I want you to look her up. Former news anchor turned politician, very Trumpian in her approach that she's constantly going against the media because she knows the she knows the tricks of the trade. She's constantly going after them, but also a strong candidate. America first, border security, backing the blue, strong candidate down there in Arizona. I don't think we would have anything to worry about with her doing anything weird if she were to get into office. Meaning, I don't think by any means is Carrie Lake a rhino. And now you've got Oz pulling ahead of and Fetterman. And we're going to get into that here in a little bit. I'm seeing a lot of red. Do not get complacent. Thou shall not get complacent. I don't want that to happen. If you guys are still over here, come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. But can we take a quick second? Did you guys see the lighting change? Juan, give me a nod on the lighting change. We like the lighting change? Look how good this looks. This is pretty good, right? We worked on it. This isn't bad. I kind of like it. Juan's just nodding and just waving me off. I feel like that's what he does to me every time. But anyway, I love you, Juan. He's giving me huge thumbs up. He loves me. You all love me as well. It's our turn, folks. It's right around the corner. Make your plans to vote early, to vote in person, bring a friend, remind your neighbor, remind your friends. We can't just win. We have to thump them. We have to absolutely thump them over the head. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. The Senate is starting to look vulnerable. If we can get that majority over there, and then we can get the House, the House feels really strong. I think that one's going to be pretty good. But if we could take the Senate, we might flip. I am so superstitious. We might flip some governor mansions. I don't know, Juan. Are we going to flip some governor mansions? You have these things. So you're starting to make some progress up in New Hampshire. Your boy is making progress there. They're making progress in Oregon. In Oregon, can you believe this? Are you feeling the momentum? The momentum is with us because you're going to vote. It's our turn. If you see me looking over here, it's because I'm talking to my friends on TikTok. New York, he's right. That might be a dark horse. You guys can't see behind the scenes, but Zeldin, because what is Hochul going to run on? I got appointed to this position and did what? Did what? You weren't Andrew Cuomo? You weren't being inappropriate? That's what you're running on? She doesn't want to talk about crime. If you saw that debate and actually said the words, yeah, the Fetterman debate was a joke. We're going to get to that here in a second, Celia. Where do these polls come from? You've never been polled. I've been polled a few times. I have fun with it because they also oversample Democrats always. It's always where that comes from. And then Republicans are often afraid to say what they're really thinking because they don't want to get blasted for it or have any problems that come from that. But keep these questions coming. I love it. I haven't done this with you guys in a long time. And I love seeing you all over here. Please come on over to YouTube if you would like. Interact with me there. Or you could stick around over here. We're having fun. It's our turn, folks. It's our turn. And we're going to put an absolute thumping on them. Let me go back to Florida. When DeSantis won, you could really make an argument at the time that we were a purple state. Since he has become governor, we have become red. We have become deep red. We have Texas looking at us going, damn, they're red. We have become so red because of the way that Ron DeSantis handled the pandemic. The way he handled the pandemic, and I don't want to say the name because I don't want to get in trouble. You all know what he did. He kept our businesses open even after he was lambasted and skewered in the media. He kept our schools open. He would not allow mandates for masks on our children. He would not allow any sort of mandates for any sort of medical procedures. And again, I'll just leave that vague because I don't want to get taken down. And because of that, we were gaining 1,000 families a day into this state. Yeah, I'm sure some of them are blue and they're going to come down here and be virtuous and vote blue down here. But these were red folks looking for red conservative principles. And Ron DeSantis is going to go down in history as having drastically deepened this state into the red. And folks have also fled California into Nevada. And I've been told the correct way to say that is Nevada. My wife is from there. I often say Nevada. You guys let me know. Is it Nevada? Is it Nevada? Give me the or the, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But Nevada, which has actually gone for Democrats in the last two presidential, they're actually looking like the red is going to come out of there. I think Arizona's got a real shot on it. Robert says it's going to be red. Thank you for jumping in here. If you guys are just joining, it's me, your boy, Keith 2 Cents Sanders. I have a podcast going live right now. If you jump on over to YouTube, it's Here's My 2 Cents. You can interact with me over there, or you can stick around here. We're having a good time. Okay, actually, Juan, we're going to go to exactly 8 o'clock, right? Because I think the one before me went a little long. We'll go exactly 8 o'clock. I'll put you back on time. I got your agenda. I'll be the producer today. You be the talent. He gives me thumbs up. I'll be the producer today. He owes me, and he knows that. Okay, so we need to talk a little bit. I got excited because the elections are so close. Forgive me. I'm an excitable person. It's what I do. It's a thing I do. So here's this big switch. Juan, do you have that clip up? Not quite yet, but do you have that clip from Pelosi that we talked about, clip 1? Okay, give me 1 second. So obviously we have had, I see it queued up. Thank you. We have had inflation, and then they changed inflation from year to year to month. So we were looking at 8.5%, 9.3%, 9.2%. So in order to change the perception on inflation, Biden just walked out one day and said inflation was 0% this month. And everybody scratched their head and the media just went with it. They said, yeah, inflation was 0. There was no inflation because he changed the way it was being measured. He said, rather than year over year, we're going to go month to month. So if inflation was 0 month to month, that means that it's as crappy as it was last month. That's exactly what that means. If inflation was 0% month to month, that means it's still crappy. That's what we're going off of. So we couldn't talk about inflation because it was so horrible. So we changed how we were measuring inflation. Now we're switching, we're caveating, we're moving over from inflation to cost, because those are interchangeable phrases that they then use conflation and they twist. I have an anecdote on the other side of this wand. Give me cut one for me. And I want you all to see what Nancy Pelosi is doing with this mind game. Go ahead and pull up clip one for me.
And the fact is that when I hear people talk about inflation, as I heard him there, we have to change that subject. Inflation is a global phenomenon. Yes. The EU, the European Union, the UK, the British have higher inflation rate than we do here. It's not, the fight is not about inflation. It's about the cost of living.
Sorry about that. I was talking to the folks over here. You see what we're doing now? We're playing the mind game. We're playing the word game. It's not about inflation. I'm not here to talk about inflation. Yeah, because you're the reason for inflation. Heather says, you mean he acted like a governor and made decisions? Yeah, that's what DeSantis did. Yeah, appreciate it. It's exactly what he did. He stood up to Charlie Crist, who wanted DeSantis to shut down the state. But okay, let's talk about Pelosi and the mind game. She's twisting it. It's not about inflation, folks. We're not here to talk about inflation. Yeah, of course. Because you're the reason for inflation. Because you passed the the Inflation Reduction Act, and then before that it was the American Rescue Act, or whatever that crappy one was. Everybody wanted their $1,400, right? Everybody wanted that $1,400, and you've all paid for it back and then some. The inflation that created, you have paid that all back every month. Your lost wages from this inflation equates to you losing 1 month's salary over the year. Take 2 of your paychecks if you're paid bi-weekly, just make them go away. That's the difference of your pocket and your pocketbook now as compared to before Biden got in. Before Nancy Pelosi pushed inflation through the roof with their spending, with their endless spending. And then there was also the infrastructure bill. It's been spending over spending over spending, and they've been printing money. So we're not here to talk about inflation. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. We're not here to talk about inflation. We're here to talk about cost of living, because it's the cost. I don't have anything to do with cost. My policies don't have anything to do with cost, which they kind of do. But it's a lot easier for me to defend if I don't have to defend inflationary spending. Let me give you that anecdote that I promised you. I have a coworker. He's a conservative guy. He's not just a Fox News guy. He does his own independent research, kind of like a crazy person. But just the other day, he was mentioning cost. And I said, oh, okay, hold on a second. We have to talk about the differences here. You have inflation, which comes up from too much money in circulation, which makes that $1 in your hand worth less. And therefore, it takes more of it to buy the thing that you used to buy. Then you have the cost of the thing you want to buy, which goes up and down per demand and supply. So because we've been flooding money into the economy, making your dollar worth less, making the demand go up, but the supply wasn't there to meet it, you're getting hit on both sides. And he just could not, for the life of him, grasp it. Maybe it's because he didn't want to at first, but man, maybe it just I wasn't communicating in an effective way. He kept wanting to say, it costs me more, it costs me more, it costs me more. Of course, because that's what they want you to think. It costs you more. It's not inflation. It's that it costs you more. Why? Because you got Biden saying the corporations are greedy, Gavin Newsom saying the corporations are greedy. But what they don't talk about is that the price index has gone up. So you'll keep hearing about the CPI going up. That's what it costs you to buy things. But when you talk about the price index going up, that's what it costs them to make it. So for example, I got the stats here in front of me. You had the CPI, which is the inflation that they measure for you. That was 8.5%. But the PPI, which affects them and their cost for producing, that was at 15.5%. So they're so greedy that they are just absolutely eating the additional cost. Yeah, your price is going up because their price has gone up, but it's gone up by 15.5%, but you're seeing an 8% raise. So that's why they want to get away from inflation and they want to say cost, because then you, the consumer, are going to blame the companies and look how greedy and look how awful they are. It's not me. It's not my inflationary spending. It's not us just pumping money into the economy, making your dollar worth less. And I just could not get through. Like, do you all understand the difference? I think you all do, right? We understand the difference. He was falling into the trap that we interchangeably use cost for when my dollar is worth less. So it costs me more to buy it, with the idea that it costs more because the companies are charging more. But of course, we're leaving out that it's costing them more. They're eating some of that in order to keep selling. So I tried to put it this way, and I really don't like the use of analogies because I find that then people can kind of poke holes at your analogy, but I tried this. I said, okay, so if I'm a gas company and I could sell my gas for 40 cents less a gallon than everybody else, guess where everybody's going to go buy their gas? They're going to come get it from me. And I can make my profit in the volume that I sell, which is, of course, how Walmart did things. They sold it for less, but the volume was so much and the customers came to them that they could make money in the volume in the long term. So if I'm an oil producer and I can sell mine for 40 cents cheaper a gallon at the pump, then they're all going to come to me. But guess what? If everybody comes running to me, I'm going to run out. Why? Because the supply isn't there to meet that demand, because the supply hasn't met the demand, which has driven up the cost. I also had to make the point to him that every single thing he consumes has been touched by diesel, and there's been a lag factor to it. So when it was really high in the spring is when we're still feeling it now. And I just couldn't get it over the finish line that if I have a much lower price and I have the supply to meet it, I'm going to run you out of business, or you're going to have to lower your price. And I said, okay, so all the oil companies, all the stores are all conspiring together to just drive up their prices because everyone's got the supply to meet the demand. So I could drop my price and I could put you out of business because I'm going to get all your customers because I got the supply to meet it, or I don't have the supply to meet it. That's driving up the cost. But he had, like a lot of people, I think, have fallen into the trap that Nancy Pelosi set, which said, it's not my inflation, it's cost of living. And she knows that folks interchangeably use the word cost when it comes to inflation and when it comes to the cost of things actually going up. I got somebody over here telling me it's all about corporate greed. It naturally is. Let's get into that. Thank you for AJ, you might be your name over here. It's obviously corporate greed, and they just learned about it. They didn't know about it between 2016 and 2020. Somebody just told them about it, and then they all told each other. They didn't know about corporate greed before that. They just one day figured it out. You caught that, right? Nobody knew about this greed before. Nobody knew about this. We didn't know how to be greedy before 2021. Nobody knew how to do this. These oil companies didn't know how to be greedy. All the corporations didn't know how to be greedy. They just figured it out. Thank you for making that point. Thank you for making that point. They just now figured out how to be greedy. And then they're all going to conspire together too, because clearly the supply is meeting the demand, and the inflationary spending, which has driven up inflation, which every single economist has said this, that the inflationary spending during the inflation made the inflation even worse. And now everyone is paying for that extra $1,400 and then some. It's a guarantee you've paid more already than that $1,400 that you got. But this is what they're doing. They're pulling. It's gaslighting. It's purely gaslighting. I know people use that term a lot, but this is pure gaslighting. They want you to believe that it's not the inflation, it's that they're just being greedy. And look how awful that they are, right? Even though I just pointed out to you that the PPI, which means what it costs them to produce, has gone up by a greater amount than what it costs you to buy it. But they're being greedy, right? They're absolutely being greedy. All it takes is one of those companies then to drop their price, steal all the customers because I have all the supply that I could possibly need. I'm going to push you all out of business. Nope. They're all conspiring together because they just figured out this greed thing, and they're absolutely just going to put that into motion. Am I right? Feeling a little hot, feeling a little heated. I got a big topic. I'm going to save it for next time. I think you guys are all going to like it. It's near and dear to my heart. It has to do with our military and how we're getting it actually manned up. Spoiler alert, we're not. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit tonight, but because Juan doesn't know how to run a tight ship, I'm a little low on time. I love you, Juan. I see you, buddy. Fetterman, Oz, doctor. What does that mean? Honestly, what does that mean? That means that they are putting up anything because there is no one who goes to DC to represent people. They go there to be a rubber stamp for whatever they're told to do. I think the closest you got is Cinema out of Arizona. It looked like Manchin for a little bit, but then Manchin ended up using his position to get money for his state. I don't blame him. That's kind of what he's there for. I'm not a fan. However, Fetterman is just there to be a stamp. So fracking, and I'm standing. He absolutely flipped on that. The video exists. He says when he was of sound mind that he was against fracking, and he obviously is against fracking. But now in the moment on TV, he's got to say I'm against it. So what is he going to do when he gets to DC? He's obviously going to side with the Democrats, and they're going to vote against that stuff. Real quick, I have about 2 minutes left. I really want to talk about this ableist nonsense and how brave he is for going up on stage. It's not about being brave, and I'm not being an ableist. Again, I'm not really into analogies, but people seem to like them. Here's a job. I have a job listed for you. I need you to pick up this 50-pound block and put it on this table 60 inches high. And I call you and I say, I need you to come on down. I'm going to have you do a demonstration for me. And you say, sure. And on the way down, your arms fall off. Okay? Your arms fell off. And you show up and you got no arms. And I say, hey, I need you to pick up that block, and you can't pick it up because you got no arms. Am I an ableist? Or are you unable to perform the job? Which one is it? You're going to walk up and just nudge the thing around? And then I can say, look how brave you are? No, you can't do the job. I'm sorry this happened. You have to be of sound mind in order to do this job, or you're clearly, as I mentioned just a moment ago, just a rubber stamp, which is all this guy is. Okay, let me get a couple of plugs in here. You guys can find me on the new account at 2cent_KSJ on the YouTube. I know a lot of you, I'm sorry, on the TikTok. I know a lot of you haven't seen that. Every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube. But you all here on TikTok, please run over to the new account over there at 2cent_KSJ. Every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, you all can find me over here. What am I going to end tonight's show on? I think you all know. You're going to get out and vote. We're going to make a statement like they have not seen before. Keep that energy. Early vote. Make sure you're registered. Bring a friend. Talk to your neighbors. Don't be ashamed to be a Republican. Don't be ashamed to be a conservative. This is our time. They can't run on anything. They have nothing to run on. We have everything to run on. We're going to stop this liberal agenda. We're going to stop these socialists. We're just under 10 seconds. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you next week.
Welcome to Case Oak Uncensored. Tonight's